Trump is really rolling the dice, man. He's really tempting fate here. It's almost like he's daring the various judges in the various cases against him to put his ass behind bars and revoke his pretrial release, because he's violated, like, every rule that was laid out in front of him as a condition for his pretrial release. So here's one that, I don't even see a counter-argument to this. Trump came out and said, I am reading reports that failed former Lieutenant Governor of Georgia, Jeff Duncan, will be testifying before the Fulton County grand jury. He shouldn't. I barely know him, but he was, right from the beginning of this witch hunt, a nasty disaster for those looking into the election fraud that took place in Georgia. He refused having a special session to find out what went on, became very unpopular with Republicans. I refused to endorse him and fought the truth all the way. A loser. He went to fake news CNN. Okay, so as Ron Filipkowski points out here, this is blatant witness tampering. He's literally saying this guy, the former lieutenant governor of Georgia, is going to testify before the grand jury, and he shouldn't do that. And he's effectively threatening him. And as we know, this is what he does, right? Trump uses his power and authority as a leader on the right to try to gin up, anger towards a particular person and, unleash the horde on them. We've seen this, just so everybody understands, in Georgia, it's, as a matter of the law, the names of the people on the grand jury get released. And so the list of the people who were on the grand jury not only was released, but then a lot of news outlets like Washington Post ran an article giving the names of the people on the grand jury. And then guess what? There's already violent threats against them and death threats against them, and there's a whole thing on 4chan about it. And now these people are in danger. And he likes to gin up and rile up these people and say, that's your target right there. So it's threatening, and it's also blatant witness tampering. He's not allowed, one of the things is you're not allowed to talk to any of the people involved in the trial. That's one of the rules. And here he is directly doing that. Directly telling them, do this, do that. If you want to have a high-minded discussion philosophically about whether or not pretrial detention is ever okay, right? You can have that discussion. If you want to have a discussion about whether or not gag rules are ever okay, or rules and regulations and terms upon pretrial release are ever okay, you can have that conversation. And I'm willing to engage in that conversation. But the fact of the matter is, the way it works right now, there are rules around it, there are regulations around it, and he's violating every single term. So what the hell are people supposed to do? I mean, it's putting the people in charge of this case in an impossible position, because now you're going to lock up a former president before his trial, but it's like he gave you every reason to do that, but then of course, the right-wing media will whip into action, and they'll start acting like this was totally unfounded. For the love of God, can anybody on the right be honest about this? Can any of you come out and state the obvious? He shouldn't be saying this. He shouldn't be doing this. It is a violation of the terms of his pretrial release. Will anybody come out and say that? Will anybody say that? No, you'll keep playing defense for this guy. Doesn't matter how egregious he is, doesn't matter how over the line he goes, you're still going to defend it. Now, I got one more for you here. Trump's been melting down over on Truth Social. A large, complex, detailed, but irrefutable report on the presidential election fraud which took place in Georgia is almost complete and will be presented by me at a major news conference at 11 a.m. on Monday of next week in Bedminster, New Jersey. Based on the results of this conclusive report, all charges should be dropped against me and others. There will be a complete exoneration. They never went after those that rigged the election. They only went after those that fought to find the riggers. This is so delusional. And this is how you know he feels like, oh my God, I'm toast. Because he knows he can't win in the court of law, so now he's trying to win in the court of public opinion. And so he's coming out, man, this report is going to be hilarious. I'm sure it's going to have stuff from Dinesh D'Souza's 2000 Mules garbage movie, which was laughable. I'm sure it's going to have stuff that's, a post on 4chan from Based Groiper 1488 and just total nonsense. I'm sure it's a culmination, or I should say a compilation of all of the ridiculous arguments in far-right blogs that they were making in real time about how the election is fraudulent, and actually more people voted in this state than people who live in this state, and there was a massive dump. We love big, massive dumps. There was a massive dump that happened at 3 a.m. on that night, and that's when crooked Joe Biden stole it with help from Hugo Chavez and Venezuela. We've been saying for a while, okay, If you want to prove the election is rigged, well, you're going to have your day in court now. You're going to trial over all this election-related stuff. So, okay, as part of your defense, be like, I did win the election. Here, I can prove it. That's kind of what he's trying to do here, except it's not in the context of the courtroom. It's just before he goes to trial. But okay, let's hear him out. Let's see the evidence. Let's see how it goes. I'm pretty confident, to say the least, that this is going to be embarrassingly stupid. So I look forward to diving into it. Hey, y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop, and watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.